let's talk about the descent into and evolution of identity. In the earliest stages of infancy, the mother and the infant are one. The infant has no sense of separation from the mother and from the ecology, from the world that gives birth to the mother. The mother does not exist without oxygen, without planets, without time and space, without food. The mother is indistinguishable between and from the totality of everything out of which she emerges. And the child is indistinguishable from the mother. Now, at a certain point in development, the one is broken. We move into duality. There is an awareness of me and mother. And much of this is initiated by the boundary and the consciousness of the mother as being separate from the child, and also of others being separate from the child, that there is this is good for me and this is good for you, and I'm going to do what's good for me. You need this, but I need this, and I'm going to do what's good for me. And each of these behaviors, where there's a tension between the optimal experience of the infant, of the child, and the preferences of the parent and the environment, enforces the message of separation. Every time there's a tension between those two and the outer environment votes to prioritize their own preferences, their own needs. Let's just put the child in the back room. He can cry over there because we're enjoying a party. And yes, the child is feeling helpless and screaming and all of that, but that's not my problem. I want to have a good time tonight. Every time that message is communicated, the infant experiences a certain amount of shame. And shame is the message. It's a variety of messages, but among the languages of shame are, you're not worth it. You're not worth being treated beautifully, ideally. You're not valuable enough. You're not as interesting as my dinner guests. And so there's the awareness of separation, of partition, and there's also the awareness of hierarchy. Now, a child, an infant, is in a state of profound need, meaning if an infant is left unnourished, before the age of 2, they will absolutely die. Put an infant on a desert island, however luxurious, and the infant will die. And the shame communicates itself to the child in a wondering of, why am I not valuable? Why aren't I as interesting as these other opportunities? Why can't I compete with a cell phone for mom's attention. That phone is more valuable than me in this moment, and in that moment, and in that moment. And mom wants to leave me and get back to her phone. I need mom. Does the phone need mom as much as I do? And the realization emerges for the infant that I could die. Meaning, if I continue to lose rank in relationship to the phone, in relationship to the dinner guests, in relationship to the TV, in relationship to the road, in relationship to work, in relationship to sex, in relationship to this and this and this and this, if I keep losing rank and all of these things are more valuable than me, and I depend 100% on the deity, on the creator for my existence, there must be something wrong with me. And there's a couple reasons for this shame, this internalized sense of shame. One of them is the law of mass. Whenever you have a bowling ball and you have a pinball, and the two are on a collision course, so they're going to collide, the pinball goes flying. The bowling ball continues unaffected. If the human being is that pinball, and there's a collision between a giant and an infant, the child feels shame. Because the message of a bowling ball colliding with a pinball is you were not worth protecting, you were not worth deviating, you were not worth attuning to. And so I didn't deviate my course. Your direction is not as important as my direction. The more frequently these collisions occur between the little one and the giants, the bowling ball and the pinball, the more traumatized the identity is of the child. Now, the child is just forming an identity, but trauma tends to speed that process up. It accelerates the sense of separation, of threat, of pain. And the emerging shape of the child, which is a unique shape in a unique environment, is routinely obliterated. And it reestablishes a slightly different shape. And it's obliterated repeatedly as superior mass, as a larger energy is used to dominate, to impose. Go to your room because I said so. I don't want to hear that. Don't talk. Shut up. I will hit you if you do that. And I have mass. I have the stature of a giant. It is the equivalent of being shouted at, beaten, abandoned, picked up, moved around by 35-foot giants. Now, if a 35-foot giant in the next 5 minutes swept the roof off of your house, weighing 2 tons, and in a booming voice said, "Get the hell out of this and do this and do this," you would be severely traumatized. You would regress into a childlike state if you understood that there was nothing you could do to stop the giant doing what they were going to do, and that you were not valued enough in the eyes of the giant to walk around. They could stomp on you and do this, but they chose to walk around that. You become paranoid. You move from the transcendent state of feeling one with and thus equally valuable to everything else, to feeling smaller and smaller, more and more scared, more and more shocked, more and more out of control, more and more helpless. And the identities hurt when they are broken. Every broken identity, I'm going to be like this. No, you're not. You're going to your room. Crash the identity. The identity is a pattern. It's a pattern of thinking, feeling, speaking, doing, and being. And the child finds a shape. They find a shape. Maybe it's a shape that copies mom and dad. Now, it's particularly upsetting, mimicry is deeply embedded in the biology of monkeys, of humans, to copy, to do what the other is doing. So when mom hits, when mom lies, when mom shouts, the child hits and lies and shouts to copy mom's shape. But when you have a hypocrisy, don't lie, lying is bad, the child gets the message of unworthiness. I'm not worthy enough to be like mom. She gets to do that. But when I copy the shape, I'm hit, I'm shamed, I'm sent to my room. What's so bad about me that when I do exactly what's being done, I'm bad, I'm unlovable? You see, one of the equations that's very difficult for any child to deal with is you have dependency, you have need for survival, and so you have a need for competency, meaning as a dependent that needs to survive, as an identity that wants to continue its pattern of existence, you need the giants upon which you depend to be competent so that you can continue to exist. You need that desperately. You need the giants to be competent. Now, if you realize at age 5 that your mother is crazy, that your father is highly sociopathic at times, and you multiply that equation, insanity plus sociopathic equals 30% survival. You can't grow and continue to put yourself in to an identity that keeps getting broken, that keeps being shattered with messages of worthlessness and unlovability, with a 30% odds that your caregivers have a clue. This creates paralysis. Now, some people are driven into that realization at a young age, and it is the most horrific thing imaginable. They don't want to put more energy into a new identity they know will be broken. They don't want to exist because to exist is to exist in a pattern, in an identity that will be broken, will be violated by the giants. They grasp that as terrified and desperate as they are, there's nothing they can do to increase the odds of more than 30% of making it to the age of 18 or whatever is being evaluated. And they just shut down, go catatonic, enter into a narrowband focus. A lot of what's considered mental disorder is overwhelm management with narrowband focus. And it goes something like this. This is an equation that no infant, that no child should be given by their cult. And it is an equation that is regularly given to infants, children, and adolescents in our cult. And it's absolutely devastating, traumatizing to give that equation. And it becomes too dangerous to see. The equation looms over us like a bowling ball in relationship to a pinball. And that is so intimidating, so overwhelming, that we shut down rather than engage with life. And so one of the systems that traumatized children in a traumatic culture develop is called narrowband focus. And a child in a healthy relationship has very wide focus. They look at their inner senses, they look at their outer senses, they look at these people, they look at those people, they say everything that's on their mind. They have a very diffuse and beautiful focus. It's called innocence. It's called trust. It's called curiosity. It's called vitality, aliveness, wonder. And when the giants have the competency and intelligence to protect that innocence and trust with attunement, meaning I'm the giant and it's my job to be gentle with the little one I have the capacity to destroy, to kill, to crush psychologically and physically. A giant can destroy an infant psychologically. A giant can destroy an infant physically. A 35-foot giant weighing 2 or 3 tons today can destroy you psychologically, physically. Just try being lifted up by a 35-foot giant and beaten or shouted at and thrown down to the ground and sent off. Have that a few times and have your phone taken away and no ability to ask for help, and you will find that you can be broken by a giant. It's a matter of scale, in other words. And that continues, meaning the 35-foot giant can be broken by the 200-foot giant that weighs 100 pounds or 100 tons and renders all help. It's a matter of scale. The infant is incredibly small, the identity is incredibly fragile. It's an exploratory identity. And every time new identities emerge, this is why sexuality in adolescence is such a fragile time. It's a new identity. It has no muscle. If the first person you feel awe towards, you feel, wow, you look so beautiful. If that is crushed in its first blossom, meaning it's just beginning to bud, it's like a peach blossom. And a peach blossom cannot defend itself from the cruelty of a hand that wants to destroy it. The petals of the peach blossom are torn apart. There is no peach. It's that simple. If all of the blossoms are stripped away, the peach will die. The identity of the peach will die. There will be no continuance. There will be no new peach tree emerging. There will be no fruit. Now, when the overall equation is too big for the child to digest. And the giants will not attune to the smallness of the child. The child takes this nice wide openness and creates tunnel vision. Now, what does this do? If I take all of this awareness of all that is, and I narrow it, 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 until I focus on one thing, I do a couple of things. I block out overstimulation. I make that one area seem more manageable. In this tunnel vision, I can focus on one thing. Now, physiologically, this is done by looking down, by protecting. Mentally, this is done by turning away. So when a child turns away in shame, in overwhelm, because they cannot face the intensity, if the giant tones down and comes down to the size of the child, then the child can open up again and start seeing more clearly. Innocence is regained. But if instead the parent breaks the focus, don't turn away from me, look at me. In other words, I am going to dominate you. I'm not going to come down to your level. You're going to grow the fuck up or be beaten. Now you have a major traumatic violation. The identity shatters. Again, it's broken. Now, when the intrinsic identity, when the pattern that comes from you as an infant is violated, is broken, and when forming a distinct identity from your parents, your caregivers, the giants around you, when forming a distinct identity is not tolerated, meaning you're given this box, and every time your imagination, your thoughts, or anything, actions, anything comes out of this box, you are whacked violently back to the box. It's natural for identity and uniqueness to grow in response, and every time it comes out, if I catch you out of this box, I will destroy you. What does destroying someone mean? I will break your pattern of thinking, feeling, speaking, doing, and being. How? Because I can, because I'm bigger than you. This is called crushing the spirit, breaking the spirit, because the spirit is what forms into a creative identity. I'm over here, and I imagine this, and I'm over here, and I'm this, and I'm this, and this, and this. This is the spirit. And I'm knocking it out. Cut it out. Get back in the box. Well, a child can only experience that so many times before their greatest fear. This is when the inner prison is formed. Initially, the parent, the giant, creates this box, and it's clearly defined. And every time the person wanders out of the box and into this and shows, the boy finds a nice little pink outfit and thinks it's a wonderful thing. The girl wants to play in the mud and do this, and the identity moves outside of the line. The parent is the one violently or enticingly saying, come on, back to the cult, back to the box. We do this because we do this, and that's why we do this. We don't do that. We don't say the truth in this situation. We say to say the truth. Yes, the Bible says to say the truth, and that's a good thing. But we don't actually do it in this situation. And another thing, we don't talk about the discrepancies. We're over here saying this, we're over here doing this, and we're quiet about our insanity. It's a good question. Why do you say, tell the truth, and then you say, this will be our little secret? Is the subtext, don't tell the truth except if I want you to? Or only tell me the truth if it's what I want to hear? Because you don't exist? And if you do, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. What is the subtext of all that? Well, the violent rage of the giants at school, at church, at home, every time you step outside the box, the public humiliation and shaming if two boys hold hands or a young boy is drawn to the wonder of a girl, initially comes on the outside, but it is so dehumanizing to be in a relationship as a pinball in relation to a bowling ball, meaning this is not a human relationship. This is a reptilian relationship. A crocodile will attack a 5-year-old and may not attack a 6-foot person who shows signs of good health, because a crocodile only consumes energy when it has an unfair advantage, meaning when it's bigger. So a crocodile doesn't look at the world with empathy. It looks at the world through the reptilian brain, which says fight what is smaller than you and you can beat. Run from what is bigger than you and that could beat you. And hide or freeze if neither of those options are expedient. That's all a crocodile uses. So anytime something smaller and not particularly dangerous comes by, the crocodile tries to kill it and consume its energy. If something big comes towards the crocodile runs away. The only way to control a crocodile is with pain. If a crocodile is coming towards you, you cannot say, please don't hurt me, crocodile. I beg you, I've got my children at home. It's going to be such a difficult life for me and my children. Could you please spare us? No, to stop a reptile, you have to get out a gun and shoot it. And if the crocodile thinks it can survive another few bullets and get a good meal, you have to shoot it 5 more times until it gets the message, if I continue to prey on you, I will die. In other words, the crocodile has no empathy. The reptilian brain has no empathy. Traumatized people in a traumatically illiterate culture that are programmed to operate through the reptilian brain, which is the brain designed to survive a reptilian culture, meaning reptilian cultures produce reptilian people, which produce reptilian cultures, which produce reptilian people. The more traumatized and violated you are in your infancy and childhood, the more blood goes to the reptilian brain to help you survive a reptilian world. Reptiles create the reptilian world, which then children regress to in order to survive surrounded by reptiles. When the innocence of a 6-year-old is raped repeatedly and then punished for revealing the rape. The reptilian brain says, enough of this. I've got you. You don't have a father. You have a snake that lost his humanity long ago. You can't argue with reptiles. The little girl says, you don't have a mother. You have a snake who has lost her humanity long ago. There may be some humanity in there, but the reptile is driving the shots. If you're in a relationship with an addict, pain, the need to manage that pain with an addiction is the deity. You're dealing with someone in a reptilian brain. You're not dealing with a human being at that point in development at that time. And the only brain that can survive a reptilian culture is the reptilian brain, because the reptilian brain will tell you to run. When Uncle Jim has had a few glasses too many, the reptilian brain will tell you to run when you have no legal authority to confront the ogre, the giant, the witch. The reptilian brain will tell you to fight and get what you need when there are other children around you that you can beat, that you can dominate. The reptilian brain will help you survive in a reptilian culture. Now, once you've found an identity, a pattern of thinking, feeling, speaking, doing, and being, however reptilian, however empathic, that is not going to be targeted, be exploited by the giants. Once you have found that, now you become your own guard, your own prison guard. Because the box used to be put on you from the outside, but let's say you survived your family, your school, your church. You survived it. But your body remembers every trauma that happened when you stepped outside the box. Your body feels like it's going to die every time it crosses the line. And so how are you going to stop going into a catatonic state? How are you going to face life if your body is telling you there's certain death if you cross this line? The Body Keeps the Score is a book by Bessel van der Kolk. Because the body doesn't lie about what you've experienced. It reminds you that you nearly stopped existing. You were drifting out, and right at this point, you nearly died repeatedly. And you're getting near that point, you're drifting out there. And so your body has a stroke. Your body diverts you. Your body gets sick. Your body says, please don't do it. Whatever you do, don't leave the house right now. Don't raise your hand. Don't speak in public. Your body says no. Your spirit wants to go outside, but your protector, your guardian, biology, tells you it's not safe to step outside the line. And in a traumatically illiterate culture, nobody tells you, you would have died, yes, or they would have pretended they were going to kill you, but that actually wasn't the case. They threatened you, they had all the size, you saw their rage, you saw the thought, how much they hated you, etc., but they wouldn't have actually killed you, just hated you and resented you, and but that's sometimes enough for a child that desperately needs to be loved. Nobody says, not everyone is like your parents. You've got a new box. You're now married. You're now with a new boss, and your boss has a box, but it's a different box. Your boss doesn't care about these things at all, but your boss has a shape like this. If you step outside this line, you'll be fired. And you're dating someone and they have a shape like this. If you cross any of these lines, you're no longer a good girl. You're not marriage material. That these boxes that define the taboo, the lines that can or cannot be crossed, over time they become intrinsic, meaning that you will do anything not to succeed more than your father, not to be seen in public, not to tell the truth when somebody asks you, be honest with me. Like so many people asked you to tell you the truth, you told them and they hit you and they shamed you. And they said you were a liar. In other words, they made it very clear they did not want to know the truth. And that you were dumb for not realizing it. That the real cult code was we all say that we're going to tell the truth. But most of us are smart enough to know that we don't actually want the truth. When Mama says, how do I look in this outfit? Do I look fat? And she just finished eating another gallon of Haagen-Dazs that month. That she doesn't actually want the truth. She will punish the truth. Yes, you're getting fatter every month. I mean, what's this? Why are you asking me? You don't have a mirror? That will get beaten. That will, you see, Dad, the marriage failed. You nearly died because Dad told the truth. And you nearly got slapped and you were told you would go to hell if you didn't tell the truth. And what is a 6-year-old supposed to do with that? There's an all-powerful dad up there. And you have to worship only him? Or he will burn you alive for eternity? And you don't get second chances? Well, it's a difficult place. Tell the truth or be burned alive in hell. Tell the truth and have your whole survival net fall apart. The only thing Dad did wrong was tell the truth, and Mommy left. The child learns all of this and stores it in their body. And they create laws, they create rules to keep them safe from re-traumatization. Again. So now they're the ones clipping their own wings. You and I have a thought. It would be lovely to spend a month in the Bahamas and write a novel and just explore and say whatever came in and let inspiration take its toll and not stay in a hotel and go out on the beach and wander around and get a couple notebooks from the dollar store and see what happens. It would be so exciting. But the body says no. What would they think? That's breaking this law. It's breaking this law. You've earned rank. So-and-so's family would never support him to marry you. If he knew what you did, if they knew what you did, can he be trusted? No, he's in his own box. He will not marry someone without the family inheritance, and they will not give it without their blessing on his bride. And they will not bless this or this or this. I've got to stay in my box. Well, all life is flow, energy flow. And outside the box, all things are interconnected. And aliveness, vitality is effortless. You just flow. You cry with someone. You go and help the neighbor's child that's being punished and shamed and hold them. But then the father's coming out with a baseball bat and say, "Get your hand off my child, or I'll call the police." And the police support the father. Or the police take the child and they don't know how to parent the child either. What do we do? What do we do when so much of the spirit, when so much of what flows naturally from one into the other is hit with so much disorienting shock? Don't talk to your father like that. Don't do this. Go to your room. I never want to see you again. When the one who promises to love you unconditionally to the day you die walks out the minute you say the obvious. Daryl, your latest fucked up scheme is not good for the family. Save up some money before you do this. I'm out of here, right? You're not supporting me, right? And off he goes. This is the box that kills the spirit. But alone, shamed, isolated, and traumatized, individuals cut in, clip their own wings, and show up meekly to submit to the machine that runs its razor blades, trimming the box every single day with snide remarks, with humiliation, with not giving the promotion, with rejection in sex. If as a man you feel incredibly moved and need to hold someone and be held, and you reach out to the woman near you, and she says, "Get the fuck out of here. I'm not your mother." And then she wants nothing to do with you. And then it happens again and again. And next time you feel this overwhelming ache of sadness and want to be held, you say, "I'm good. I've learned to cut my own wings. I've learned to break my own spirit. I've learned to abandon my own soul. I'm civilized." You don't need to worry about the truth of who I am emerging in this conversation. The box is formed. The casket is built. The spirit dies. The little infant curls up in a fetal position inside and says, "I'm not going out there again." And the punisher and the manipulator, all the synthetic identities, take hold. I can do something with this box. I can make this box good over here. This cult likes clothing. Okay, I'll dress the best. This cult likes money. I'll earn some money. We'll gild the coffin. We'll gild the coffin. Now, I can speak as an explorer to the fact that in a traumatized cult, there is always something taboo. 99% of the time, there is a pink elephant in the room. And if you point it out, and someone has to decide between protecting the pink elephant in the room with lies, with secrecy, with taboo, or connecting with you in order to understand the pink elephant, 99% of the people, 99% of the time, will show loyalty to the pink elephant because their body will send them 1,000 messages saying, you're going to die if you hang out with this guy. It's not safe to cross the line. It's not safe to step outside the box. Now, I've done numerous experiments at the tension between normalcy and happiness because this is another area that you can see this. Here's the box, and the box is the norms, the status quo. And so it's the identity of the cult. And here is +7 happiness, meaning 70% more happiness over here. Here's +5 happiness. Here's +8 happiness. Here's +10 happiness. There's all this happiness, all this joy, all this pleasure to be found outside of the box, outside of the cult, of the taboos. And the question is, for an individual coming into this terrain, you've got 0 or negative, let's say -1 or 0 inside the box. Apathy, boredom, depression, loneliness, hopelessness, grief. And you've got joy, interest, excitement, enthusiasm, not boredom. You've got those all fluttering around as dishonored, unexplored opportunities. They're in the possibility field. They're not probable within the cult, but they are possible, meaning a small minority of highly intelligent people pick happiness over normalcy, at least some of the time, and are much happier when they do. Now, some will only do it in secret. I hate my husband. I hate him, but I can't leave him. The box says that this person or that person is the person I should marry, but I can't stand him. Oh, I love you, but I can't marry you. You're outside the box. What would my friends think? You smoke marijuana on the beach, you're homeless? No, that's outside the box. So, goodbye. I'm going to the box, and, thank heavens I have my senses, because there are severe punishments by the cult. Gossip, legal crackdowns. How many homes have been destroyed for 30 years because someone smoked marijuana? How much science was doctored to get those laws passed? Right? There are severe life and death punishments for anyone who steps outside the box. But happiness, peak happiness, greater than normal happiness, is never in the box. So you have the secret. I write poetry and I don't tell anyone. I dress up in women's clothes and feel wonderful and then hurriedly hide and go out and pretend to be a chauvinist. I love playing with my dog and making all kinds of wonderful sounds. I have a blast playing with my dog. But in public, I say, heel, and come here, because that expresses the dominance hierarchy of an appropriately masculine out there. My friends would never do this. I don't ever let my friends know that I need my girlfriend. Get away from me. I'm with my mates, right? Oh, I didn't mean that. I've got to put on an appearance. I've got a box to live up to. And the box says that men are like this, and I will lose rank in the dominance hierarchy of my peers in a chauvinistic cult that are also stuck in their own boxes. And so you will be trashed in front of my friends, but secretly I'll make it up to you if you'll give me the chance, right? And of course, there's plenty of disasters where people, if you will not face the box, right? Because this is really what the tension is. Every time you leave the box in a traumatic sociopathic cult, every time you leave the box, your body screams, I am going to die. Your body tells you, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die. And nobody in a traumatically illiterate cult understands why this is going to happen, what to do about it, what the choices are. So here you are. Do you choose happiness or do you choose normalcy? Well, do you choose happiness with your body screaming, you're going to die, the world's going to come? Or do you choose normalcy? Where your body calms down and behaves and says you are behaving appropriately. You have learned to control yourself, to stay inside the box. You can be trusted. I know you won't do anything foolish like enjoy yourself or be creative or be innovative or be intelligent or, God forbid, speak the truth at a political rally. It's suicide. I know I can count on you to lie appropriately. So I'm going to bet on you. And then you can reward me once I get into office. Right? You can be trusted to murder your soul in the name of pursuing the trappings of a hollow cult. We can count on you to walk the talk, to stay in your cell. And you may feel like you're dying inside. You may want to scream. You may need to eat a pint of Haagen-Dazs to get those feelings down. But you'll put on a brave face and show up at the office with enough wit to convince all of us that we are making progress. And that's why we like you around. We have our doubts in the cult. But with your winning smile and your machinations and exuberance, and all the flashy things you're buying, you make us feel like it's not so bad to be in prison. It's important to understand that whenever you diverge from the norm, for suffering or happiness, you are asking people to face their fear of death as communicated by the reptilian elements in their cult at a time when their cult could have killed them. And the cult does regular character assassinations. Universities get rid of the tenured professor if they cross certain lines. The family disowns the child if they cross certain lines. The police come and stick you in jail if you cross certain lines. Your partner will absolutely leave you if you cross certain lines. But are those the lines of your cult, of your prison, of their prison? Because it's a collective prison. We all agree to stay within certain bounds. Because then we feel safe. Because they are familiar bounds. They are like our family. Our family is like the cult is like our family. We stave off the fear of the unknown, and with it the fear of being out of control, the fear of chaos, the fear of the feminine, the fear of spontaneity is all blocked. We could all get up on the plane and exchange 100 hugs. We've got 16 hours to Tokyo. Let's practice the lover hug, the friendship hug, the I'm disgusted with you hug, and let's take turns randomly. You'll be A, B, and C. All the Ds will get up and hug, and then people can come up to the top of the plane and share information. And you will have the most entertaining, the most exciting, the most alive flight to Tokyo you've ever had in your life, that anyone's ever had on a flight to Tokyo. And it's absolutely free. Doesn't cost a penny. But you're going to have to face the fear of death to step out of the box. I think I'm fine sitting bored and yawning and moping about my life. Thank you very much. And we'll reject that possibility. You could have the most amazing kiss of your life with a stranger, but a married woman doesn't do that. This is not what is done by people in high society. Oh, sure. Prostitutes, we all know that they're worthless, don't we? Don't we all know that prostitutes are worthless or second-class people? Of course, they can be out because they're already outside the box, and they will be punished and should be punished, right? Happiness is out here, and one of the most important questions in any relationship, if you want to be happy, is will you face death to explore the unknown? Will you face death? Will you calm your body, love your body, love that traumatized and abused child inside? Say, I've got you, buddy. I'm not going to kill you for this. And the people who would kill you to face their own fear of death are not humans. They're cowards in their own prison. And one can feel compassion. One can create secrets. One can stay within certain bounds. I'm showing my nice little line here, and then I blipped out of there. I'm not entirely boring. I dip out every now and again. Christmas party, I let my hair down. In other words, I let myself expand into my being, into my truth and creativity. I let the box go for a little bit. The box offers stability, certainty, boredom, death, structure, acceptance. But it can never offer peak happiness. And this is the conversation, the unspoken conversation, that if it was spoken would violate the box and be a first step towards freedom. Hi, I'm Dane Rose. All knowledge begins with a paradigm, and out of that paradigm comes an idea, an awareness that we adopt, reject, or synthesize into something better. It doesn't become wisdom, it doesn't become useful until we take action, until we integrate it into not only our thoughts, but our feelings, our body, our words, and our way of being. For that to occur, we have to move from the passive media paradigm into more active engagement. In the link below, in the More Information section, is an invitation to join a very small, deliberately filtered, high-quality discussion with a group of people who share a common language and want to work with these ideas, with me and with one another, with the sole goal of creating 10 times more sustainable well-being for ourselves and those around us per unit of energy invested. Thank you for watching.